Great night, everyone. Welcome to the chapter 12.1 retest or no retest. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to start determining whether we're going to be having a quick retest or a long retest, right? So we should be waiting for maybe that 1 week candle, or if we should be jumping into the breakout. Little caveat here, little warning, this is a work in progress, but still I want to show you the tips and tricks that I use to determine whether if I should or should not be entering on the breakout or waiting for that retest. Spoiler alert, I'm 90% of the times I do wait for the retest or wait for some certain patterns to jump back within that trend reaction. So let me get started with you guys. We have Alexander G in the house. We also have Army Piper. What is up, guys? Welcome. Thank you so much for jumping in. So let's get started. Today's gonna be a short episode, so let's go and take a look at what we got in here. All right, so just getting started with Bitcoin. I was expecting a little bit of a retracement here for a higher time frames. Something that I still think that it's going to happen. We have a goose head here. We are forming, or we're trying to break out. It seems like a fake out at this point. It's just a couple of candles. I will not be expecting a pullback in here or a retest. In fact, I believe this is a fake out so far. But so far, let's take a look at what else we have. Do we have some support, some resistances? Where are those located, and where could we be maybe expecting for some retracements? All right, so first of all, and let me get started here, we are at retracement zones on our oscillator in here, right? So look at when we have that in here. Yeah, at this point, since it was a goose head, we pushed through at this other zone in here. Look at that, another goose head. We also pushed through, but then we retraced another. This is not a goose head, but again on retracement zones, right? This is not a goose head and a retracement zones. This is not a goose head at retracement zones, and this is not a goose head as retracement zones. So what can we learn from this? Well, when we start having goose heads in here, we could be looking for a little pullback, all right, for then a further continuation and then a major pullback. This is not really what I'm looking after a goose head, all right? This is more of what I'm looking with a goose head. So when I have this kind of goose heads, well, then I have a further continuation, all right, a little retracement with a further continuation and then a bigger pullback. Usually the bigger pullback, it's looking something like this pullback. All right, so just so you know that the goose head usually indicates a little bit of a retracement from the point where we are for a continuation and then a bigger pullback. All right, the sizes of those movements can vary depending on the volatility and volume influx that we might have. All right, so talking about volume influx, another thing that we want to look for, it is, and if you have it, use it, it is in here on your Prime Oscillator Pro Plus. It is your money flow. All right, I want you guys to look at this. Look at how money flow is going downwards, right? It's decreasing. And what's going on with the price? The price is going upwards. One of the most important or most violent reactions are on I mean, this went out of my head, of divergences, right? Are divergences from money flow and price action. All right, so what is a divergence? Very quick, just simple. It is whatever kind of oscillator you have. All right, so when the oscillator you have, it's going downwards and your price action is going the other way, so upwards, that creates a divergence. So simple, a divergence, it is a disparity, different direction from what your oscillator is showing you and the price action direction. All right, so in this case, we have a continuing lowering money flow and continuing increasing price action. All right, this creates a bearish divergence from money flow. So this is a money flow bearish divergence. Average Crypto Joe, welcome, my friend. Welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I invite you to take a seat and start throwing some paper balls around. So other than that, That's what is a divergence at this point. Divergences here play a huge role, especially when we're looking for topping signals. Remember that we also talked about having these wedges at the top. Usually it is a reversal signal, or at least indicates that we usually break to the downside and then we move once again to the upside, right? So like this, for example, we have sort of like the same break to the downside and then that little pullback to the upside, right? And we can be looking for those ranges, especially on the 4 hours Bitcoin. That usually plays up a lot. Like, oh, come on, let me see if I move something. Yep, for example, right here, those wedges break to the downside and then a movement to the upside, right? Another wedge, break to the downside and movement to the upside. Wedge at the top, right? Break to the downside. Oh, too much of a break to the downside and then move to the upside. So as you can see, they usually are reversal signals, right? So at this point, we already have a reversal. We're not breaking with strength. So what could we maybe be expecting? At this point, until my money flow is not turning red, I'm not going to get too much worry about the price actually rolling over me, all right? Yes, maybe a reversal, something. But as we start losing the zero line on our money flow, most likely we're going to be losing it with strength and the target remains the same. All right. So the same analysis from yesterday, we is keeping things up and moving. This, by the way, created some bullish pressure on altcoins. So let's take a look at LTC. There we go. LTC, what we got in here, we have a broadening wedge. We actually nailed it straight on the broadening wedge, right? Your entry was in here. We have a breakout. Now we're at the top. What are we looking for? Retracement. It's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. So we need to take a look at that area. In fact, I'm gonna be setting up, there we go, my alert. All right. So here's where things get a little interesting. Should I or should I not be waiting for that retest? All right, like when I'm breaking through right here, let me zoom in, let me remove everything else. Am I gonna be trading the breakout? Let's just say that I was not able to take this low. All right, so I also waiting for the breakout here. So is it gonna be a rejection? No, it's a breakout. So do I jump in and candle close, right, to try to get this, or do I wait for a breakout? I have a very simple setup in here, right? The first thing that we're going to be doing is making sure that the distribution or the stretchness in here, right, is not too extreme, right? For example, if I just do this, look at that, I'm extending and stretching to my left the charts, right? So this is not good. So what I'm going to try to do is double click and then double click again. This ensures that I'm already centered between the time and the price action. All right. Once I have that, let's just put it in somewhere that it fits our needs. At this point, if I want to pull it down, I cannot. I only can move it left to right. This is all right. Once I already have it the way that I like it, that makes sense for me. I'm gonna stretch this just a little bit, like that, almost nothing. All right, this will ensure that I now can freely move the drawing. All right, why do I want to freely move it? It's just a personal preference for me. I'd rather be able to move it around. I don't know why. When I draw, I always like to move things around, right? I think it's just in my head, like what I got taught in architecture school, that you sometimes need to reposition either yourself or the drawing, right? So that is just a personal preference. All right, now that we know that we're almost perfectly aligned or scaled, right, on our time and price action, and this is only a point of view. All right, why? I'll show you why in a second. So every single time that we're going to be doing that, remember, double click, adjust, and then break the lock. How do you break the lock? Slightly moving this up and down just to leave it just as it was, but breaking the lock between those two. That will enable you move it around without losing the scale, as long as you don't stretch any of those two. All right, perfect. Now that we have a reset point, that we know that every single time that I double click here and here, we're gonna have basically the same proportion, right? Left and right. Hey, username, welcome, my friend. Welcome, JR, welcome. What's up, buddy? So I'm gonna start drawing boxes. Before I start drawing boxes, let me explain you the logic, all right? So at this point, I'm gonna be grabbing this box right here, all right? And let's talk about the oscillator for now, and you see how handy it comes when I can move the price action, right? Let's just get it out of the way. I'm gonna try to draw a box as proportional as I can, right? So X and Y are basically the same. You don't need to be perfect, right? This is not geometry, but the point is that you get a square-ish thing, right? So you don't get something like that and you call it a square. So this is not a square, all right? And this is not a square. So basically something that's fairly a square. At this point, I want to mark the 45 angle. When I'm measuring a bullish breakout, all right, I'm gonna be drawing a line bottom left, top right, all right, showing the direction of the breakout, all right? So let me just draw it like this. When I have, and I can just control click, right? When I'm measuring, let's just put it to the right in here. When I'm trying to measure a bearish breakout, all right, I'm gonna be drawing a line from top left to down right, showing the direction of the breakout, all right? Perfect. So I'm gonna be using these to measure my ribbon, all right? If the ribbon it's oscillating back and forth or very close to my 45-degree angle, I am expecting a multi-candle retest, all right? If my oscillator, my ribbon, it is below the 45-degree angle, I am expecting a fake out, all right? Either a fake out or a very slow retest, all right? So there it is, multi-candle retest on the 45 angle, right? Or slightly below. Very low fake out or a very long retest, right? And let me change now the color of this just for good reference. Let's go for, I don't know, stream green, something like that. All right, perfect. If my oscillator is above or highly above the 45-degree angle, right? My ribbon is above the 45-degree angle, I am not expecting a retest, or I'm expecting a 1 or 2 candle retest. Very quick, very fast, all right? Let's make our exercise right now, and then we're gonna be looking at this other section, all right? Let me just also change the color of my pen back to white. All right, perfect. Let me just get rid of this. Oh, I do want this line, just for reference. All right, perfect, that's it. All right, so what I have a picture here, not a picture, a pattern, all right? I have a megaphone pattern, right? All right, on this pattern, I am about to break out, or I am breaking out, all right? I'm either on this candle or on this other candle. The pattern is already fully created, right? I'm already breaking out. So right now, as I'm breaking out on the candle that is breaking out, that's what I need to execute this this strategy, all right? The first thing I'm looking for, it's gonna be my first pivot in here, all right? This is a bullish breakout, all right? So let's create there we go. Let's create a box, all right? From the very bottom in here to the very top. That's it. And then remember, since I'm using or I'm expecting a bullish breakout, I'm gonna be drawing a line like this, 45-degree angle. Based on what we learned, am I expecting a breakout retest? No. Above in this quadrant, right? Or something like above this line, all right? This quadrant here, I'm not expecting a retest. Or if I'm expecting a retest, it's gonna be either a huge retest, right? Why? Because it needs time to cool off. And look at how, since I just zoom out, this got deformed. You see? So since I can manipulate X and Y, that's why I want to double click, all right? Get it to where I can, the center of my screen. And you can see right now, right? I can slightly break it. There we go. Now it's back at square. So just remember to reset your scale when you're going to be doing this calculation, all right? So you have always the same point of reference, all right? So at this point, if I'm not expecting a retest, or if I'm expecting what? A very fast, very fast retest, or a more prolonged retest, all right? So if I'm doing that, well then at this point, breakout retest, well then what I'm doing here, it's longing at the candle breakout either here or here, all right? But my stop loss needs to be proportionate. So my stop loss could be here, all right? Another thing that I do to make sure that I don't get trapped in here, it is look at, let me just get this perfect out of the way so it looks much better. Look at my volatility factor, all right? If my volatility is below 50, I'm usually expecting a retest. If it's above 50, I am not expecting a retest. I'm longing the breakout, right? So at this point, I am 45. I am expecting a retest, and right here, I'm not expecting a retest. There is a caveat here, and you need to understand what might be happening here. Look at that, this 45-degree angle, all right? This one here, all right? Perfect. It is measuring the whole box. Right now, I'm getting into reversal zones, all right? So if I'm expecting a reversal here, what is going to happen down the road? I am going to get back to my 45-degree angle. How this is going to look, all right? This could be looking like, I'll show it to you. Instead of a full-fledged breakout retest, this could be looking like, and remember what we talked about when we drew trend lines. Let me see if I can show it to you, one of those examples. Where it's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. Where it is at either 1/3 or 1/2 of the retracement. So it's not a full-fledged retest, right? So the same thing we could be looking for in here, all right? What is going to be the support? So at this point, we also add support and resistances, all right? Where are our support and resistances? Come on, where are they? All right. They're a little bit too spready here. This is 4 hour. Oh, here it is. Trend line. So maybe I have a backup support in here. Maybe create a pennant. And then off we go. So as you can see, I might not be expecting a full-fledged retest. All right. So once again, let's do that recap because this tends to be a little bit complicated. All right. First, I understand that this is a square, so I have not yet manipulated any of my scales. The next thing I'm looking for, it is from the pivot here and from the flip of the ribbon, I'm creating a box. All right, this box is not looking like a box anymore. I don't know why. There it is. And then I'm adding a 45-degree angle line. Perfect. This also matches the 45-degree angle line. All right. Oh, man. So if I'm above my 45-degree angle line, I'm not expecting a retest. All right. But I'm at the reversal zones. All right. So I could be expecting a small retest or a pattern. This is also forming a goose head, right? What is a goose head? Slight reversal for further continuation for then a much deeper reversal. I also have a trend line here, all right, which indicates that I could be retracing to that zone. So did you see how it's all coming together? So this is not a standalone tool. This is understanding, all right, if I long this zone, why? Because I'm longing the breakout as it's breaking out, and I see that I'm above the 45-degree angle on either this candle close or this candle close, right? I mean, this one, since it's a big body candle, I wouldn't recommend that. I'd rather long this than this about candle close. Stop at your previous low and then give yourself a wiggle room. When it comes back down, at this point, you will still be on profit. All right. This is certainly more useful when we have a much higher volatility. Let me show you, right? And I want to call to your attention the color of those candles. It's blue. What does that blue mean? It means that we should be moving downwards and not upwards. Another thing that we're having, it is a money flow divergence. All right, let's take a look at our other oscillator here. Blue about to turn bullish. All right, so look at that. When we are going downwards, and now look at that increase of strength on the loss of bearishness. If we can keep that strength going when we go up, this is gonna blow. Blow where? To your next resistance. Let's not ignore the divergence that we have from money flow. If money flow doesn't rush up again, we are most certainly be going lower, and it's not gonna be a retest, it's gonna be a breakout to the downside. All right, let's try to do it once again on something differently. Let's go to punk. Here we go. I think that we have a very nice, I think this is a very nice pattern, right? So it has not yet broken out. We have this one, we have this other one. Yeah, perfect. All right, let's do it. I think this is a perfect example. All right, we don't have the pivot yet. All right, we don't have the pivot. We haven't yet blow. If we're looking for, what are we looking for? What color is it? It's blue. Blue is bearish. Are we above or below dynamic reactor? We are below dynamic reactor. Sorry, above or below the zero line? We are below the zero line. This is mostly bearish. What are we looking for? We're looking for a flip of the ribbon to then go up. All right, so far, are we bullish or bearish? Technically, we're bearish. Technically, we're bearish on the 4th hour right here, but we're getting closer to this zone. All right, we can analyze these two ways. All right, first way that we can analyze, remember, as the candle is breaking through, right? If that candle is breaking through, I need to look for the next pivot. If that pivot is playing out, all right, let's just say that we do this. All right, where's going to be your box? And this is important. This is not easy. All right, let me just double click here, double click here. Make sure that I have already fixed it. Look at that. I cannot edit the scale. I put it at the center, slightly change it. Now I can move it whatever I like and however I like, right? So I'm bearish. I should be favoring shorts, all right? So at this point, most likely I could be having a bearish breakout, all right? So let's analyze that. All right, a box from the pivot, and this is gonna be very difficult. There we go. All right, and I cannot measure that. Perfect. Now what? Well, then you look for your next most important part, which is break to the zero line. All right, you're fine. You just need to use your box from here to here and increase your box size. That's it. All right. Now I'm going to be using a line. This is for a bearish breakout. All right. Oh, my bad. Yeah. So now the thing is not lining up. So I need to reduce my box. And that's it. So we have not yet looked at this. What would it be if it's above this, the 45 angle? In this case, it's going to be the opposite of the bullish breakout. All right. Let me give you guys that example. Let's clone this. Let's put it here. Remember, bullish breakout, I have my line pushing across it. Bearish breakout is like this. Why? Because I'm mirroring the thing, right? It's a mirror. I'm flipping it like from top to bottom, if that makes sense, right? So I'm grabbing it, I'm letting it fall or drop, all right? Or fall to me. So it is inverted. It is like it had a mirror on it. So if it's like it was a mirror, right? If I say that this is extremely bullish and I'm not expecting a break, a retest, or a very quick retest, or a very long retest. Why? Because it needs to shoot up, consolidate, and then come back down. What would be the opposite? Remember, I'm letting it drop, all right? So if I'm letting it drop, this thing is gonna turn around in front of me, and it's gonna be where? It's gonna be here. You see that? So if this extremely bullish, no, let me see if I can get this better. Extremely bullish, no retest. This is extremely bearish, no retest. All right. So am I expecting here a retest? Where is it? The thing's on the other side. You see that? So this is just regular bearish retest. Regular bullish, yes, with the retest. So right now, I would be expecting a breakout retest if we go for the bearish scenario, right? Let's bring up our support and resistances. Where is my next support? This is a little bit too far. Let's see. I have one in here. I have another one. Not really. Do I have something else in the way? This one could be. All right. It's not about your breakout. It's about your retest, almost full-fledged retest. And then we go to dashed line. All right. Does that make sense? New Earth Guardian. Going pretty well. Ice cap entries on the 5 minutes trend change and next on the 2 minutes. Nice. Using super trend indicator settings at 15.4.5. Nice. Love it, bro. All right. Perfect. Username. What's up, bro? Is there a better teacher than those? Oh, thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it, bro. I don't know. Is there a better party? What is it? What would I call you? Because you wouldn't be my sidekick. We would be partners in crime, right? Is there a better party partner than username? We'll see. We need to start turning that lever, bro. Until it got some, how do you call it? Some squares? Some muscle. Let's build that lever muscle, bro. All right. Let's do this one more time. Let's re-explain it from top to bottom so we can understand the dynamics of this, all right? Let's go back to another random thing, TRX. All right, TRX could be it. All right, let me turn everything off. Let me clear the set. All right. And do we have a pattern? Yes, we have. Maybe we have a pattern. I don't know. Looks like we have a pattern, don't we? All right. I would say that maybe. Is this our pattern? Yeah, I think we can call that the pattern, right? All right, perfect. We're about to be breaking out. All right, bullish or bearish? At this point, seems like bearish breakout. This is uncertain so far. In fact, this is hard to test, right? So what is my next important point? It's either my flip of the ribbon or my breakthrough the ribbon. All right, this is dependent of your price action location. All right, so let's do it from the pivot now downwards. Why do we use another thing on Litecoin, right? In Litecoin, now look at that. Now we're moving upwards and we didn't make the retest, right? Look at that. In this case, we're having the pivot because the pivot defined it, the next support right before the breakout. When the price action was already breaking out, we already went through this, right? So first in the list are gonna be flip of the ribbon. Second in the list is gonna be they drive through this area. All right, so far it's playing out, not having a retest, right? I actually was thinking that we have a minimal retest, no retest, and now we're moving upwards. All right, we'll see what happens. So far this analysis, it's playing out. All right, the next one was bunk, right? Why did we use bunk our area here? Because where's the next flip of the ribbon? Maybe here. It's just too far away. I mean, of course we can do it. Let's see. So far it was telling us that we were expecting retrace, and again it's telling us that we are expecting retrace, right? So far at this point I would say that this is not a clean or a clear perspective. So what is the next most important? Break through the zero line. All right, so first flip of the ribbon. Second, what is it? Break to the zero line. All right, and finally TRX. Was it TRX? Do I have any other TRX? No. I don't know. Here it is. Yeah, perfect. All right, so at this point, what are we going to be looking for? Well, we do have a well-defined flip of the ribbon, right? It's Aussie dog named Crypto. No, it's named Onca. Onca, it's a species of, I think, cheetah. Yeah, I think so. Isn't cheetah? Onca? Pantera? Panther. I think it's a species of panther. A local species of panther. Yeah. But thanks for asking. Break to a zero line. Well, we have perfect. I like it, Alexander G. Almost there. Look at that. We have a well-defined pivot. So we're gonna be using first flip of the ribbon, right? That's our first initial thing. So we have a well-defined pivot or well-defined flip of the ribbon. Yes, we're gonna be using that, right? If we don't have a well-defined flip of the ribbon, like for example, right here, look at that. For example, yes, we have an important reversal. But I mean, an actual very sharp flip of the ribbon could be, I'd rather be taking the breakthrough, the trend line, any of those, right? But right here, yes, we do have a very sharp flip of the ribbon, right? So let's use that as our reference. Where is my box? From the flip of the ribbon, and I want to make a box, yeah, as boxy as I can. Let me see, can I do the other one? Oh, I don't know, whatever. Oh yeah, it's because it was this one. All right, yep, there we go. Whatever, it also looks cool here. All right, so the next thing, I'm looking for a bearish or bullish breakout. So far, since I'm at the edge of losing it, well, bearish, right? Let's draw our 45-degree angle line. So remember, bullish versus bearish, right? no, retest. So along the breakout, yes, retest, wait for the retest. If we let it flop, right, let it, like grab it from the bottom, then let it turn around, right, the X and the line, how they're gonna be looking like? They're gonna be looking like this, and your X is gonna be lower here, right? So where is it? It is on the no retest. No retest. Yes, retest. No retest. Yes, retest. So no retest. So at this point, so far, if we have that breakout, I'm gonna be shorting the breakout, right? You see that? So let's bring up our support and resistances. Remember, this is not a standalone thing. So where's our support and resistances? Perfect. What could I be expecting? Maybe something like that. Whoop, and then going downwards. Maybe the retest is not a full-fledged retest, all right? Perfect. Let's do one more of it, and then let's call out the class. This needs to be practiced, guys. So, oh, by the way, we're forming a divergence. Look how many divergences we have. A triple divergence so far. This could become a quadruple bearish divergence. All right, so let's just get rid of this. Do we have a pattern? I think so. What would the pattern be? I believe we are looking at a range. All right, either like this or like that, however you want to call it. And if we're doing this one here, remember that we're having a lot of other wicks, so this is going to be our buffering. We're at the top, we are blue, so we are not bullish, we should be retracing, but technically we're bullish. We have dynamic reactor, we are above our zero line, we are creating a goose head. What does a goose head means? Slight reversal, right? For then a further move to the upside, maybe breakout retest. So yes, retest, and off we go. All right, let's measure that. Do we have a well-defined flip of the ribbon? Yes. All right, so let's use it. Our well-defined flip of the ribbon. This is our box. All right. And in this point, let's draw our trend line. It is very, let me zoom in here. It's very close. Despite it diverges a little bit, it is very close onto our line. If it's on the line or below, we are expecting a breakout retest. So are we expecting a breakout retest? Yes. So is it something else that we can confirm with that? The possible goose head formation. All right, let's take a look at the other goose head. Further move to the upside, slight retracement, and then further move, and then a big retracement. So slight retracement, sorry. Further move to the upside, and big retracement. All right, same thing here. What is a goose head? Small retracement, further move to the upside, bigger retracement. All right. So again, it's not a for sure if we should be or should not be. But if I'm looking at this, I'd rather wait. Right? I'd rather wait, and then when I have a more defined breakout system, I execute that. Right? So for example, let's just say that at here, if I'm trying to do a bullish breakout, maybe I have this bullish breakout, right? And then retracement because I have a big area of resistance. See that? All right, perfect. All right, perfect, guys. So I think let's leave it as is right now. I want you guys to practice a little this one. If you have any questions, please let me know. The Discord, right? Remember, tag me on the Discord and I'll be more than happy to either create a personalized video or touch the same topic tomorrow on the next session. So this is basically how to start measuring whether we're gonna have a breakout retest, we should be longing or shorting the breakout, or waiting for that retest, right? So guys, thank you so much for joining, and as always, thank you guys, and see you guys tomorrow.